That's a sad go-to.
It is.
The fact that their go-to is that they hurt one of our players one time is such a sad way to go.
God.
Alan Lazard. Yeah, you try to put him down low because maybe you won't see him.
John, any last words before we hop off here?
Go Pack, go, baby.
Go Pack, go. The one thing that's keeping me from taking the Packers to win by 30.
I don't care if you go to every game, what game. Not only that, but you are in the second row.
Yeah.
The second row. And you're going to try to tell me to sit down? Get lost.
Get freaking lost. Thank you all for tuning in, commenting. We love chatting with you guys. Enjoy the game. Check us out on Twitter at Rob Westerman3 for me, at JBeckman30 for John. Have a great rest of your day. Let's get a win and let's go freaking bear hunting. All right, we'll catch you guys later. Thank you.
What is going on, everybody? Let's go. Good time, baby. I'm Rob Westerman of JVP Daily. Joining me for the 19th edition of Pack Casual, the one and only Johnathan Beckman. John, what's happening? How are we doing on this fine Wednesday evening?
Today is the best day I've had in the last about week and a half. I believe officially off the COVID reserve list.
You've been activated.
So I've been activated. I'm out in San Diego. I'm not in the cold Midwest like where we belong, but had a great day of golf at one of the best courses in San Diego area. Yes, so had a great day. Great day.
Good. We are I'm having a good day too. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm thriving. So there's never a dull moment covering this Packers team, obviously. So let's just dive right in. Packers notes to start. Jair, Billy Turner, they're still on the COVID list. We'll see if Jair comes off of that and if he has a shot to play this weekend. Only time will tell. David Bakhtiari, Josh Myers both practiced today, so that's great news. Although it was just for individuals, they were still out there. Coach said the other day during his presser that in an ideal situation, David would play this weekend. So that's good. Said they'll see how practice goes this week to decide whether, he'll be out there or not. I've asked you this for weeks straight, I feel like. You think we'll see David out there this weekend?
I feel like there's a good chance. At this point, I know it seems kind of weird to say this, but what's there to lose? Okay, no, I don't mean that by his injury, physically, but putting him out there and feeling oh, maybe he's rusty. If he's ready to go, let him play. Right. Worst comes to worst. If he doesn't play well,
it doesn't matter.
We've done without him for the whole year.
Right.
And I'm not trying to downplay what he is, because we all know
he's the best left tackle in the game.
3 years he's been the best left tackle in the league. So, hopefully he comes back and hopefully he gives us that depth and that boost. Yash has played good enough now that it's you almost
third string tackle has been kicking ass.
You almost kind of forget about it because it's
he doesn't ever get mentioned.
It's almost allowed Green Bay to play a quicker, faster offense. Get the ball, get rid of the ball, and it's actually been better for us regardless. But then when you get a player like David back there, Rodgers is I got all day. It's
whether that's a good thing or not, I agree. I honestly think this is the week that we see him out there, maybe for a quarter or two. But with the way Coach sounded when talking about him the other day, it seemed like he's got a real shot. So that's good. Next up, John, we are the number 1 seed in the NFC. That's just great. There's no other ways to put it. It's
great to say it. It's great to say it before the games have even started in week 18. That's crazy.
We're all joking about, we're going to see, we're going to clinch the number 1 seed, and Jordan Love's going to play week 18, and it happened. It's funny to look back at week 1 and think about all the haters talking about Rodgers isn't committed to his team and all that BS that people were spewing, to now being NFC North champs for the third straight year, number 1 seed in the NFC. Rodgers MVP. It's already locked up. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Any thoughts on your end as far as the haters during this season?
I'm just glad that once again, it just took care of business. Like,
it's what we do.
It's nice to take care of the Bears. It's nice to take care of the Vikings.
Eliminate them from the playoffs.
First goal is always the division, so it's great to take care of that.
Okay.
Now it just kind of comes to like, all right, we've been so close. So it's like, I mean, my eyes are set on the big prizes right now.
Yeah, and the big prizes.
With this team,
it feels different.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, it does.
You know?
In 2019, and we can all agree, but I mean, I'm speaking from personal experience, like as if I didn't even look at the internet. Like, the offense was just always struggling, and it was just like, what the heck?
Yeah.
You know, last year the offense was really freaking good, but then the defense was suspect. Now the defense this year seems better than last year.
Did early on, at least.
Like, and I know there's some stats out there that say that they might not be or whatever, but I think you and I can both agree that in the last 15 years, when Green Bay has been the best with our really bad defenses, it's been when they've been opportunistic and gotten turnovers. Well, we seem to be getting turnovers and like getting bigger plays in bigger moments. So it just like seems like the defense is just making enough big plays in big moments, and the offense just seems like when it's clicking, it's as good as it gets.
Yeah, no, I get it. We got the 1 seed by beating the Vikings 37-10. Obviously, they didn't have Kirk Cousins, but the Packers, they dominated on all levels. Offense put up 37 points in a game. It felt like we could have put 40 or put 50 up. The early, slow start, the DeGuara drop touchdown. It's cold. Rodgers is throwing hard, so it's whatever. Defense held Dalvin Cook to 9 carries for 13 yards. I mean, that never happens going against Dalvin. And then special teams didn't dominate to other team standards, I feel like. But for Packers, I'd say, like for Packers fans, I'd say we did pretty damn good. Crosby, 3 for 3 on field goals. He was perfect on extra points. Had a few positive punt returns by our guy David Moore, which is something that we haven't seen in the last few years. And then, I'm not going to apologize for this one bit, but Mason Crosby is back.
He hasn't now, but let's be fair. He hasn't been tested. Like, he hasn't had to really kick some like 50-yarders, 45-yarders. But in all fairness, his extra point, I mean, everything looks good. Like, the extra points are right down the middle.
Yep.
Now, one thing I will say, that was a hell of a fumble and then reestablishing control by Corey or by Marquez the other day. I mean, because like honestly, they were giving a lot of credit to Mason Crosby for like going through with his same, you kind of go through, but hell, I mean, that was freaking impressive that he fumbled the ball, but then got perfect. I mean,
got it back up perfectly. And the announcers were talking about it. Like, Crosby's so good and he's such a veteran that like he stayed through his normal progression, but like just kind of slowed it up a little bit. And like you can tell in the Gamecast when they did the replay that, he did kind of like, he kind of started normal, and then you could kind of see a little like glitch of him just kind of like, okay, let's slow it up for a second, and then boom, just nailed it, which that's impressive. So shout out to Mason, baby. You're back. Got his jersey hanging up to my right. Met him at the Lions game because he's the GOAT. Let's talk about the offense a little bit here. I just absolutely love watching Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in the backfield, whether it's one or the other. They're both in the field at the same time. Sunday was the perfect balance of Aaron Jones running around out there breaking free for a couple big plays, and then obviously you bring in the hammer in A.J. Dillon, and he's pounding through guys in the end zone. Pretty cool stat here. Jonesy and Dillon are the first running back duo in NFL history to have 1,000+ scrimmage yards and 6+ touchdowns apiece. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head who else would have kind of been up there, but I have a feeling that like a kind of, you asked earlier this year who the best like 1-2 tandems were in in the league for running backs. And then what I tell you, I said I personally thought that like Zeke and Tony Pollard were up there. Yep. The Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. And I don't remember who else we would have said off the top of my head. If you can remember,
Madison and Cook if they're healthy.
Yeah, but I mean, really, like at the end of the day, it's been Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon.
Yeah, they've been up there. So
it's been up there. I mean, I think if Kareem Hunt was healthy, they'd be up there.
If the Browns were somewhat good, they'd be better. Like they'd be more recognized.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Chubb might be like, I mean, I know I hate to say this on this show, but Nick Chubb might be slightly better than Aaron Jones. I don't mean to take a jab. No. I mean, Nick Chubb is like as good as it gets.
And they have a good O-line.
So if you wanted to say that Aaron Jones was like the 5th best running back in the league or something like that, but I think AJ Dillon has given us more than a Kareem Hunt because of being available. So, I mean, those two have been the most as effective as it gets.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Another guy on offense, Devonte Adams, who needs no introduction, as everybody knows him as the best receiver in the game. He just had another casual, 136 yards, 11 catches, and a score on Sunday night. Just like it's nothing. Those back shoulder throws, they're unguardable, or the ones where Rodgers just drops him in the bucket and he doesn't show his hands until he literally is here, and then all of a sudden, boom, ball's here, and it's like, how do you even guard that? You just can't. So he broke his own record for most catches in a Packers season on Sunday. And this upcoming weekend, he's got a chance to break Jordy's record for the most yards in a single season. He only needs 21 more yards. And so before everyone starts talking about, the 17-game season helped this, well, Devante missed a game. So obviously if he does break the record, he will have done so in 16 games. So my question, John, let's say Devante and Rodgers are together for 3-4 more years, whether it's here or on another team, just for the sake of the question. Is Devante on his way to becoming a Hall of Famer?
I mean, he is. If you compare him and Mike Evans' stats, they're really, really comparable. Mike Evans was better early in his career, his first 3 years, but Devante the last 4 years has been that number one guy. And I think both those guys are going to have a chance if they continue their career. But I think if Devante right now has got the head over him because he's been so dominant. I mean, really, they always show those stats. Since 2018, most touchdown catches. Since 2017, most touchdown catches. Since this, most blah, blah, blah. Well, catches, in a league that's dominated by elite receivers, and he's been at the top or he's been the best or in the top 5 of every category for 4 or 5 years now. Well, if he continues to do that another 3 years, how can you say that a guy that had 8 elite years?
Yeah. I think if Rodgers and him are together, I think he'll get in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, if he continues this type of play for a few more years, it's just dominant. But if he doesn't have Rodgers, I think he'll still be one of the best receivers in the game. But their connection, I think, is just too valuable. And those two, they have such an advantage that leads to them being one at both positions year in and year out. And I think without the connection, obviously production takes a little bit of a hit,
I think, if I were to be honest, as good as Devonte Adams is, I think he probably needs Rodgers another 2 years. I don't mean any disrespect to him, or because if I was Skip Bayless or some crazy idiot on the internet and I said this and everybody would hear my words, they'd be like, "Oh, you're an idiot," blah blah blah. But I think it's fair to say that he probably needs if for Hall of Fame, he probably needs Rodgers another
it's
couple
hard for receivers to get in
because and the reason why is because it highlights how good he is. You don't just get into the Hall of Fame just getting 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. Yeah. You get in the Hall of Fame doing what those two have done the last few years, and I'm not sure he'd have that opportunity with.
I don't think so either.
With Jordan Love,
Yeah,
he might have to go somewhere else and dominate somewhere else, and he's going to dominate no matter what.
Like if he went to the Chargers, he'd dominate there.
Yeah, exactly. He could go there and still have.
He did to share the targets though.
Yeah, but it's like he's not going to get that done with a Brett Hundley
or a Derek Carr over in the Raiders. Like he's not going to get it done. Like
you never know though. Derek Carr could probably would probably target him 15 times a game. I mean, look at no matter what, he's definitely the most well-rounded receiver. Short routes, medium routes, long routes, and Cooper Kupp getting all this stuff, and as good as Cooper Kupp is, it's kind of nice to not see people try to put him above Devonte.
Yeah, they just know.
They just know.
No. Let's stay in the receiver room here for a second. Allen Lazard. Since Randall Cobb went down, Allen's been stepping up in a big way. Not only is his blocking the best in the league from a wide receiver standpoint, but over the last 3 games, he's had 16 catches, 215 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think you had said Lazard was your pick as to who was going to step up when I asked you about it after Cobb went down. Are you surprised he stepped up, or you expected this?
Well, he had those couple games in a row where like he was like not playing that well receiving wise.
Yep.
And that was like that was like 6 weeks ago.
Yep.
But then like now the last few games, and like he's been getting like a touchdown in like almost every game. It seems like in the last 6 weeks.
Right.
I'm not surprised. I mean,
no.
Like I'll never think that he's like a top number one. I don't think he's like a number 1 receiver. I don't think he's like a dominant number 2, but he's like perfect in the system that he is in with Green Bay. Like he'd be good in other systems too, but he gets so much clout in Green Bay.
I'm with you. I'm not surprised. He stepped up obviously in a bunch of games for us over the last few years, and for him to really now have that like established connection with Rodgers, he's only going to get better each week. I'd say obviously, Rodgers and Devante have the connection, obviously elite level. Cobby and Raj have it pretty dang good too. MVS and Lazard, I think, are starting to build it now, and that'll only help obviously as we get into the playoffs here in a few weeks. So
I actually think that Lazard right now
over MVS
is more dependable than MVS.
As far as MVS is getting injured, and if we can't throw the deep ball, then really
like you and me both know that MVS can like be that that big target guy, but like I'm looking at Lazard's stats in the last 8 games he's played, and he's averaging about 6-7 targets a game.
Right.
And he might only get a few catches in a few of those, but I mean he's got a touchdown in 3 of his last 4 games. Yep. And then he had 3 in a row mid-season. I mean, he's been pretty streaky, and MVS is kind of he's just still trying to find that being healthy, and he's always kind of going to be that guy that's going to be can have
1
some
catch or 4 or 5 catches for 100+ yards and a touchdown.
He can have some huge plays, but he just Allen Lazard just does more dirty work.
Yeah, I'm with you. Before we move on to Raj, let's hit a couple comments here. Indy Acres, is that from catching the ball or after catching and running with the ball? How do they rate receiving yards? They do it. If he catches it 10 yards on the field and he runs 30 yards, then that's 40 yards receptions or 40 reception yards. Jared, my guy, in regards to momentum, and Rodgers talked about it a few times now, what's your opinions on bringing back some of these guys that haven't played in some time, possibly messing up with the mojo momentum? John, you got an answer?
Well, who was it? I think they asked both Rodgers and LaFleur that kind of question. Yeah. And I think no matter what, getting those guys back, they as the players and coaches, they think that it'd be a huge confidence boost to the players. And then, as a fan, how can you not sit there and be honestly, I don't know if Myers comes back. Does Myers start? I don't know.
I think so.
You think so? I don't know the answer,
but
I don't think any of us know the answer to that question.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but that's my opinion.
And because that's the thing is I'm wondering I know Myers had that job, but like, do they sit there and ride the hot hand or
center QB? That connection is just as important as Rodgers.
Yeah. So it's like, do you go? We're really late in the season.
The last thing we want is a fumbled snap in the fourth quarter in the divisional round, and it's like,
well, yeah, you don't want to get to the divisional round, then all of a sudden something's changing. But you know how that goes. A lot of times they say a pro's pro and whatnot. So who knows? Maybe he's ready.
He's the guys like D-Bach, Jair, Cobb, Myers that are obviously you want the best guys out there, but there's a risk in disrupting the current chemistry. I think
never with Cobb.
Cobb's coming back. He'll be good. Jair, that's a question mark because we got Stokes and Douglas, but he's so good that you got to put him back in there. The same thing with David. But the real question, like you said with Myers, that's the only one that I'm like, maybe not
enough. Yeah, has he proven?
He's a rookie. Playoffs. That's a big stage.
So then here's the other questions. Like Cobb's gonna come in and play. He's gonna come back and play. You just know he is. When Jair comes back, who plays in what position?
One of them's got to go to the slot. You feel like
one of them's got to go somewhere else. I mean,
Douglas has been so good, and Stokes has been so good too. It's like,
I know. It's like, what do you do? So like then, do you keep those two on the outside and let Jair play slot? Because they've always said that Jair could be a crazy good slot corner too.
Yeah. I'd be fine with that.
So I don't know.
It's a good question, Jared.
Maybe allows for you to put Jair on the number one receiver at all times because it gives you that flexibility that now that they can do that. I mean, who knows? Maybe Stokes or Razul would be good in the slot. I don't know the answer to those questions.
Yeah, probably should keep Stokes outside. I mean, I don't know.
And then if Billy, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. And then if Billy Turner comes back, Dennis Kelly's been playing really well. Does he take over Dennis Kelly's spot? Like, I don't know.
It's gonna be an interesting next few weeks.
Honestly, I feel like these are actual question marks.
No, they are. But that's a good question, Jared. Let's move on to Aaron Rodgers, shall we, John? I got a couple words to say here. Aaron Rodgers, he's a bad man. It is what it is. He's about to win the MVP for the second straight season, fourth time in his career. Nobody will have more MVPs than him besides Peyton Manning with 5. Some people don't like Aaron Rodgers this season, John. Whether it's for his offseason circus that everybody created surrounding him, people were speaking for him and doing this and that when in reality, nobody outside of himself knew what exactly was going on. Some people don't like him because of the way he's come out and spoken about the highly controversial COVID-19 vaccine, and others don't like him because he's just that good at the quarterback position. So a special nobody that is now a somebody because he made a headline with Aaron Rodgers' name, surprise. Hub Arkush said he wasn't going to vote for Aaron Rodgers because he's the biggest jerk in the league, a bad guy, and hurt his team with all the offseason drama. Like, my message to this clown, 1, the Packers are 13-3. How could he have possibly hurt his team? One of those losses is with him not being there. All season long, his teammates and coaches have gone to bat for him as far as being a great teammate and leader. 2, just because he has a different opinion regarding the COVID-19 vaccination than you doesn't mean you got to get all in your feelings and automatically declare him like the biggest jerk in the league or that he's a bad guy. Like, he has a different opinion than you. Get over it. Like, 3, who is Hub Arkush? And how does he possibly have a vote in the awards? Like, I've never heard of him before yesterday. After some research, John, apparently he created Pro Football Weekly. It was, I guess, pretty big nationwide in the 80s and 90s. You know what else was pretty big in the 80s and 90s? Sony Walkmans to listen to your CDs. Like, those have been extinct due to the better inventions and creations made over time. I think Hub Arkush, if that's how you pronounce his name, should be moved on from, replaced with someone who actually knows what the hell is going on across the league. Like, sorry, John, I just had to go in for a minute on this clown. Dude is completely embarrassing himself across the socials yesterday and today. Yeah. And the sad part is he probably did it all on purpose to gain traction for himself.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was good definitely to see that a lot of people not necessarily came 100% to Rodgers' defense, but there was a lot of people out there that they were like, you know, they were going off like, oh, you know, I might not like Aaron Rodgers' stuff he's done off the field, but he's the MVP. And if you don't vote him the MVP, you should lose your vote.
Yeah. A lot of players came in and were tweeting at him too.
Like it's just crazy. And then he was talking about, oh, what he's done off the field. It's
hurt not an off the field vote, you dumbass.
It's hurt their team so much. He's a jerk and blah blah blah. And like you said, the majority of all the players seem to not really care. And they're like, every time they ask, they're like, yeah, he's our leader. We love him. He's our leader.
Every single time. And he's so Arkush came, you know, he tried to come out and apologize this afternoon or this evening. In his apology, he mentions a subtle jab to the small army of people on social media and talk show hosts that called him out to say we have no idea how the voting process goes and all that. It's too late, Hub. You probably were contacted by the NFL to fix this. And unfortunately for you, the way social media is today, this will kind of be always, you know, what you're known for. So that's just, it's unfortunate for him. Fortunate for us and people that really want to get guys like him out of the, you know, out of that voting system. Like Casey Hayward tweeted at him and said, this is just, you know, guys like these are voting for all pros and MVPs. Like it's a flawed system if that's the kind of guy that's, you know, has the power with a vote. And there's only 50 votes. So it's not like it's 100. That's 50. That's not very many.
It just like it's too bad that somebody's personal feelings of I mean, it sounds like he's just mad that Rodgers isn't vaccinated. And, you know, there's so many people out there that can hate him for so many different reasons, and that's fine. But like, so much of that is, you know, is irrelevant when he's putting the product on the field that he's putting. Yeah. Like what he's doing is so far and above the distraction.
Like we got guys that are, you know, like Antonio Brown or Tyreek Hill, who apparently punched his pregnant girlfriend. Like all these guys that are doing these crazy acts, and like, yeah, it gets talked about for a couple of weeks and then it never really gets talked about again. Whereas Rodgers, because he's one of the best players ever, like, and these things are super controversial, as should be like sexual assault or harassment or any of the stuff that anybody else does. That should be talked about too. But since it's Aaron Rodgers and his name creates, you know, it creates people. Clicks. Like, yeah, it creates clicks. Hub. I didn't even know who he was until yesterday, and I still don't know who he was because I don't care to do, you know, extensive research on him. But now I know and will always know who he is because of this thing, and I'm sure that's the case with a lot of people. Like Rodgers said today, he's like, I didn't even know who this guy was before yesterday, and nobody else probably did either. So it's like he just went off. He called Arkush a bum. I'm glad that he's kind of coming out of his shell a little bit this year on the Pat McAfee show, sometimes in his pressers. I love it. So, got any words for that?
No, it just, yeah. I've always been kind of curious to. It's funny because I read that they're not supposed to say who they voted for, is what I saw.
Like the unwritten rule type deal.
Yeah, which is totally fine. I mean, it makes sense. Like, I mean, if I'm a voter, I wouldn't want that either. But it's kind of crazy that he went out of his way to specifically like be like, yeah, but I'm not voting for that.
I made my mind up in the offseason. Well, it's like, dude, you're an idiot. Like,
yeah,
you're just incriminating yourself. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, no. All right, let's move on. Last week we eliminated the Vikings from playoff contention. That feels damn good to say. This is even better. We eliminated the Vikings from playoff contention, all the while clinching the number 1 seed in the NFC. So this week we'll play the Lions. Coach said the starters who are healthy will play. How much, that we don't know. Do you have any thoughts as far as the 1 seed goes? Do you like the bye week? Do you think this year is a bigger advantage because of all the fans back? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like, well, it's not exactly the question you asked me, but I do like the whole not resting guys 100% this weekend. I don't know if you
momentum going.
Yeah, I do. 3 weeks is there's just I don't know. I don't think you should. It is a lot, but it's just like an injury. But either way, whatever. I won't go too much on a tangent on that. I mean, yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome for it. Just so much can happen nowadays. Any given Sunday, that one less chance of losing is always a victory.
Oh yeah,
it's always a victory. Plus, it's going to be nice to a little bit of it's not only losing, but you get more chances of guys getting hurt. Who knows? We could end up playing, let's say, the Cowboys in the divisional round, and then all of a sudden, in the fourth quarter of that divisional round game, they could lose CeeDee Lamb to an ACL injury. I mean, I'm not trying to wish that upon him.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? Like
anything can happen.
You get into those fourth quarters and a team might win, or like a Buccaneers might win, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, Tom Brady broke his finger all of a sudden, and now he's not playing, and then so now the team that you thought was the better team won, but now they're out their best players.
Yeah,
it's great. It's great from a standpoint of not having to go through injuries and just that extra little, Plus, the NFC's got a lot of good teams in it this year.
Mm-hmm.
Even the 49ers are a good team, and they're still fighting to get in the playoffs. And their team, nobody wants to play them.
I don't want to play them.
So I mean, there's
their ass, but I don't want to play them.
Yeah, there's a lot of good teams I think out there. Maybe not a lot of dominant teams, but there's a lot of teams out there with potential to win a game or two.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this year is definitely more advantageous than last year. Obviously, we have the fans back, full capacity. This year's team is different. Obviously, we were healthy last year, didn't necessarily need the rest. This year, different story. Guys like Jair, D-Bach, Josh Myers, maybe even Zadarius can benefit from this bye week and maybe play in the divisional round or be ready for the NFC Championship. Or Rodgers in his toe, although he said it's feeling good. Like any guy with any small injury or soreness can benefit from this year's bye week. So
it allows them to game plan. It allows them to focus on game plans a little bit more too, because you kind of get that. There's usually probably like one or two teams that you feel like you're going to probably play.
Right, so you can kind of narrow down to those two and call it good.
Yeah, I mean, like I said though, there could be an upset, and that always changes things because you play that lowest seed and then it gets reseeded. So,
anything can happen. Before we close it down, you want to hop over and do some predictions for Packers-Lions game this Sunday?
Oh, that's kind of hard. I haven't looked at what I think I looked like
what the line is.
What the line is, but it's so hard to do a prediction. I think Green Bay was only favored by 2.5 when I looked yesterday, and but that's the thing, you don't know how long are they going to play, and here's the thing is I don't think LaFleur's dumb enough to do this either, but
Detroit Lions are a 2.5-point underdog against the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I do believe that no matter what, like whether it's a close game or not, that shouldn't affect. If it's a close game, like I don't think like, oh, we need to keep the players in. It's a close game. We can't afford to lose this. Like, you know what I mean?
Because
like,
we legit can't afford to. It means nothing.
Let them play a half or let them play 3 quarters.
If we're up 21-20, then see ya.
We don't need to risk anything.
Yeah.
But it'd be really nice if we got out to a really good start. That'd be really nice too, because then you would be thinking maybe halftime, like, okay, let's pack it up. Rodgers, Clark, Adams. Let Patrick Taylor run the ball a little bit. Let some of those
pretty good runs last week.
Yeah, let some of those younger guys get some receiver reps and stuff like that. And score prediction. Fuck. It's so freaking impossible because you don't freaking know.
We never know.
Let's go with 20. Let's go with 23-17. Us.
Okay. See, I think it's 23-17. I think it's going to be a weird game too. Obviously, starters will probably play a quarter and a half at most, a quarter or a half at most, and then it'll be the Jordan Love show. So he didn't do that great against the Chiefs, but I think with a full week of practice for him to prepare, to play, rather than Rodgers getting COVID on Wednesday and boom, he's playing 2-3 days later. Coach also having the full week to put some stuff in the playbook for him. I think he'll do better. Lions, they're a tough team. Obviously, the record is awful. They're bad, but they're tough. Like
we should win. We should win, and we all know that.
Yeah. Like they beat up on Arizona a few weeks ago, and they barely lost to the Falcons a couple weeks ago too. I think our starters put up 17 points in the first half, and we limit them to 10. And then Jordan Love comes in, adds another like 10 points to that. I got Packers 27, Lions 20. So,
yeah,
35-14. That's a bold one. I like it, Indy.
It maybe you know what's gonna happen? No, it's not gonna happen. But imagine Jordan Love coming in and having a Matt Flynn like game, and all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, Matt! He threw for 4 touchdowns." Blah blah blah. They don't
help his trade stock for when Rodgers decides to come back next year.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden people are gonna be like, "Look, Rodgers doesn't deserve the MVP. Look what he can do."
yeah, against the Lions. Yeah. No, I'm with you. All right, John. Any last words here?
It feels like we've got 2 bye weeks now, and I don't mean the fact that we can't lose to the Lions, because we can definitely lose, but it sure is nice to kind of be like, all right, well, we got a few weeks to collect everything, get everything polished, and time to be the team that this team's been building to be over the last 3 years.
Let's go make a run.
I'm ready.
I'm going to go to LA with you to watch Super Bowl. So
I think so. Yeah, I saw we were trying to look at tickets the other day, and some of the cheapest ones were like $7,000. Oh man.
Yeah, we'll chat about that later. All right, good deal. Big shout out to everybody who tuned in, commented. We love chatting Packers football with you guys, so it means a ton. Appreciate it. If you're not already, give us a follow on Twitter at Rob Westerman3 for myself, at JBeckman30 for John. Subscribe to GBP Daily on YouTube, and if you ever have any thoughts or comments, just DM me on any social platform, and I'd love to chat with you. So for John and myself, we'll catch you guys later. Thank you.